Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Krashy and I am very sick. No face cam on today and I sound like shit and I feel like shit. So I apologize for that. But this discussion got out of hand. This discussion got very, very out of hand. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, it all started... it all started with a couple days ago. I posted a video called "I'm worried about the content acquisition in Predecessor," and it stems from a blog post that we got recently from Predecessor that explains the hero acquisition and contract system that they are putting into the game that has been implemented into the game since Seraph, and now kind of further implemented with the $8.99 pack that they brought out, but is the foreseeable content unlock progression for heroes. This system has a lot of issues. I'm not a fan of this system, and I have been very vocal about my criticism and feedback surrounding this system. Now, after creating that video, I've been dialoguing with people about it, and I actually made this image right here. It's a diagram to explain the issues with the system. Now, the diagram doesn't really speak for itself, so I'll kind of run you through it. And it kind of exploded into a gigantic feedback thread where, because I made this diagram, the point was to drop it into a feedback thread in the Discord. You're welcome to go find that if you would like. But the point was that I wanted to make a diagram so that way when I was saying to people that the contract system was not good, I could prove it to them and as to why a free-to-play currency is better. So let me explain currently. The contract system is a system where you beforehand, at the very start of engaging with any of this content, you activate a contract. Now, for the sake of simplicity, I have made it to where this contract is 0 out of 5. Every game equals 1 out of 5. Now, obviously, it's going to be way more than that. I think it's like 10 games per one, so it was like 50 games around there. But for the sake of simplicity and illustration, I've just cut it down to 5. So in this scenario, contract number 1, you activate Seraph. After 2 games, you're 2 out of 5. After 5 games, you're 5 out of 5. You've unlocked her, right? Simple enough. Nice and rudimentary. Very simple. So again, you activate her up front. You're forced to make that decision if you want to unlock something. You go 2 games, 2 out of 5, 5 games, 5 out of 5. Now, naturally, 1 game, 1 out of 5, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games. But for illustration, I don't need to put them all on there. All right, scenario number 2 with the contract system. These are scenarios. You activate up front Seraph because you have to. You play 1 game, you unlock 1 progress. You play 2 games, you unlock 2 progress. But after that second game, you decide, you know what? I don't really want Seraph anymore. I think I'm going to go for Twin Blast. Well, unfortunately, that progress is now stuck on Seraph. It stays there, you keep it there, but in order to unlock Twin Blast, you need to now play an additional 5 games because you changed your mind. And so, what we're talking about is a pre-purchase issue acquiring 1 hero, where in this system up here, this scenario, you play 5 games, you unlock her. In this scenario, you have to play 5 games to unlock your first hero. Now, there is a net positive in this scenario where you have 2 games of progress left over on Seraph, but it is locked to Seraph, and that's going to be an important variable in the third scenario. So again, keep in mind, 5 games for an unlock, 7 games for an unlock. Okay, scenario number 3 is a free-to-play currency. So the way that this one is depicted is this image right here is your intent to purchase Seraph. You go into the system thinking, hey, you know what? I think I would like to purchase Seraph. You play a game, you unlock some currency. I just have some image from Destiny 2. You play 2 games, you unlock some currency. You play up to 4 games, you unlock some currency. You know what? You realize going into your 5th game, your intent has now changed. You think to yourself, I think I want to unlock Twin Blast instead. So you've changed your mind, similar to contract system, or to the second scenario of the contract system, and you play your 5th game, you earn your currency, and then you unlock him. So there was no punishment or no delay in a free-to-play currency system. And for the sake of illustration, because this system had 7 games played, this system, I also put Game 6 and Game 7, you are still that 2 progress worth of games and currency towards unlocking your next hero. The only difference in the contract system, it's locked to Seraph. In a free-to-play currency, it is free-flowing and for you to choose. I think that this example is a perfect illustration illustration as to why, if you are forced to have only one of these two systems, like if we're not talking about a contract free-to-play currency hybrid, it is objectively, literally, mathematically better to have a free-to-play currency. This is the truth. There is no way to dance around the truth. There's not really a counter argument. Unfortunately, I know that this makes me sound incredibly pompous and arrogant and like a complete fucking asshole, but I'm just delivering feedback in a way that I think is appropriate and accurate. Now, there are some other variables about like what all the free-to-play currency would engage with in terms of other content, but this is just these scenarios as to why this currency contract is, or this currency system is better than a contract system. Now, this is just solving this one issue, pre-purchase, when you decide to change your mind issue. There is also the issue of having no intent to unlock a character. So let's say, for example, and I did this on my stream earlier, I only have 65 games on carries. I don't play carry. I don't really like to play a lot of roles other than jungle, so I only have 65 games on carry out of my 1,500 plus matches. When Wraith is inevitably announced, and he will be, I don't really have any interest in playing Wraith, but in a contract system, if I don't activate the contract and unlock them, I'm just wasting my time because I might as well unlock it. In a free-to-play currency system, I would be able to play the same games, unlock the same currency, and stockpile or store that currency to better suit my desire to unlock a hero in the future that, you know, I would much rather play. So there's also the issue of just being forced essentially to unlock something when you're maxed out on and there's like another hero coming out, or just what essentially I'm saying here is the free-to-play currency gives you a lot of choice. The contract system is very limited and not very great. Now, in another scenario, and again, keep in mind, not every account is going to have this issue because not every person's going to have all the characters unlocked. There's going to be plenty of people that eventually play this game free-to-play and will be forced to engage in a lot of games to unlock anything anyways. But for my scenario, as someone that does have all the characters unlocked, and that's the majority of us are very similar in that scenario now. You know, after you've unlocked everything, essentially there's no reward for your time. And I think that's a pretty big cornerstone for free-to-play games success, is being able to reward the player base for their time. You know, let's say hypothetically, Wraith comes out, I unlock Wraith. Every game after unlocking Wraith with the contract system, I will no longer be earning any currency or any experience to go toward a contract, which means that all of that work and all of that time that I invest into the game is no longer reciprocated from the game to thank me for, you know, playing and engaging with the game, which I don't think is a great system for the player. So yes, again, for the player, I think a free-to-play currency is objectively better than a contract system. Now, that's just to set the stage for how the fuck we got where we got. Listen, it turned into this Reddit thread, which stemmed from this feedback post. And my God, what a mess. My God, what a mess. I do have to go on ahead and get some things out of the way. First and foremost, let's just read the post and then I'll get to what I was going to say. I said a free-to-play currency gives the player more agency over how they want to unlock heroes without any time lost pre-purchase. This apparently is hard for some to understand, so I made a diagram for the sake of illustration. All heroes in this example take 5 games worth of time to unlock. Contract 1, player locks into Sereth contract and unlocks Sereth after 5 games. Contract 2, player locks into Sereth contract, plays 2 games, then decides to change their unlock towards Twin Blast. Takes the player 7 games total to unlock their desired hero because they already had 2 invested in Sereth contract. Yes, that progress isn't lost, but it delays the TB unlock. Free-to-play currency scenario, player has the intent to unlock Sereth after each game, earns X amount of free-to-play currency. After 5 games, they have enough currency to unlock 1 hero. And let's say on their 4th game, they decide to no longer want Sereth, but want Twin Blast. This player would unlock Twin Blast in 5 games with no time loss. Free-to-play currency gives more control and decisions to the player, whereas a contract-only system forced the player to lock in their time up front. And I said, edit. I think the only way to fix the contract system is to allow you to transfer contract progress so you aren't punished for changing your mind after starting the contract to that, or release a free-to-play currency alongside it. So this stemmed a lot of heated debate where it was, you know, the conversation of whether or not it's objective or subjective and it's my opinion or your opinion or a lot of that. And I'm not going to dive into a lot of that. But what it did get into, and I'll try to find it in a fair way, is a back and forth with me and the champs RGSAs. Now, this is where I'm going to take accountability. absolutely I'm going to take accountability. My feedback and the way I deliver things is not in the most PR kind of way. I'm very abrasive, I'm very honest, I'm very passionate, I'm very loud, and I can be incredibly obnoxious. And I own up to that. I am kind of a loud, ragey, toxic kind of personality. I'm very comfortable with myself as that person, but I understand that that's not everybody's cup of tea. So this is where I'm taking accountability for kind of being an asshole, and I want other people to at least be open to the possibility that even though I am maybe not your cup of tea, it doesn't invalidate my feedback. So let's go from there. So this is where the Reddit post stems from. I appreciate you guys giving feedback. We are not changing the system anytime soon. And I was already really heated having talked with other people in this thread. And it led me to making a decision to say something that's just not the kindest thing in the world. Do I think it changes the feedback? No. Do I think it changes the fact that my feedback is objectively true? No. I just think it makes me look like an asshole. I said, again, that's fine. You're just making another mistake in developing this game. Now, here's the thing. Yes, this is a really aggressive jab, but it's also true. I think that they're making a mistake in developing the system. I think that they're making a mistake in other areas of the game. And so it's kind of just another true statement. I mean, I would say that this is a little bit more subjective, not nearly as subjective as somebody else would think about the current topic source. But yeah, this is a pretty subjective take to say that I think that they're just continuing to make mistakes, but I do. And I like Ace's response, actually. I think that he handled this really well. He was like, that's fine. Mistakes are here to learn. And, you know, I kind of threw it back in his face because this is something he says a lot. I said, I'm here to give feedback and make the game better, but hey, let y'all cook, because he says that all the time. And so then he was like, okay, there's feedback and then there's like being an asshole, which I agree with. I was being an asshole. That said, I do think it's a little condescending and dismissive to be like, hey, by the way, we're not changing this. Although I think it's a fair take. And I think the most fair thing he said was like, hey, it's fine. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Like, mistakes are how you learn. I think all of that's fine. I think at this point in the conversation, I was just super frustrated talking with other people and trying to make them see that 1 + 1 = 2, right? And that's really like where a lot of this whole problem came from. Now, unbeknownst to me, earlier in the day, I did not know this, Muglok dropped this post and he said, Predecessor early access in a nutshell. This person was also very agitated in the thread, agreeing with me and just kind of saying like, I don't know how anybody can defend the contract system. And I mostly agree, right? The contract system, and let me make my stance on it perfectly clear. Whether or not they implement it, it's not existential. It will not kill the game. I'm not claiming it's going to kill the game. I'm not worried about it killing the game at all. It just is another mistake in their development. It's a subpar system when another system is right in front of your face that's better for the player. And again, this is objectively true. It's not very hard to understand. And it just feels like one of those missteps that doesn't need to be made and maybe can't even afford to be made. Like, I just think that a problem with Ometa lately has been, or not even lately, I think a problem with Ometa is that they make like little micro mistakes everywhere, and then they make some big mistakes, and so their kind of track record is a little bit damaged. And I think that their faith in from some players has been damaged, and it's a rough thing. But dude, this Reddit thread is just like people shitting on me, bro. It's pretty crazy. Now, I'm a big boy on the internet, I can take it, but I think that what I'm seeing is that people are so like dissatisfied with my character and the way that I present myself that they actually ignore feedback. And that's where I think I want to make something like this, where I'm trying to be a little bit more grounded, even though I know it still comes off as pompous and douchey, but it's just the truth, right? I'm presenting it the best way that I can to helpfully make that seem a bit more tangible, as opposed to me just saying, hey, I'm objectively right, even though that's essentially what I'm saying. So my response was, I barely saw this post within the last hour, and all I'll say for my standalone comment is that yes, my feedback is objective. Unfortunately, I think presenting it as such makes me seem condescending and pompous, which is not my intent. Yes, I'm loud and ragey, but this is good feedback, and it's unfortunate that we will be delivered a subpar system. You can say that my take on a contract versus a free-to-play currency system is just my opinion, but it isn't. I even created a diagram for the feedback post in Discord to give visual aid to the conversation, and that doesn't even cover all of the issues with the contract system. Regardless, this is not an existential issue to the game, and it will not kill the game. Ometa is cooking their way to free-to-play, and I intend to stick around, providing my best feedback throughout that journey. It's true. I have gotten into these like little bouts back and forth with Ometa, and the irony is that they are never super pissed with me. I kind of go back and forth with them. We have a little bit of banter, or we have like a bit of a little ragey back and forth, or maybe it's mostly me. And then it's kind of just like, hey, look, it's all love. If I didn't actually give a shit about this game, I wouldn't even cover it. I would just go on to something else. And it's not like this game's bringing me a ton of views or money or anything like that. So yeah, it's just for the interest of the game, for the passion of the game. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a thriving free-to-play release for the game. But yeah, a lot of this shit is like, oh, Krashy's got a shitty attitude. This dude recently was like, we don't like you because your personality is shit. It's like, this is all besides the fact of my feedback. So again, you're already seeing like subjective opinions completely erase objective fact, and it's just like one of those things that like I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around, because I think that there's so much rose-tinted glasses with Paragon remakes, and there's so much like love for what Ometa could potentially bring back, that people are so desperate for the game to be good that they are now convincing themselves that it is good, when there's definitely room for improvement. And really that's a lot of what I'm trying to present. And there hasn't been a lot of hills that I've that I've I'm sorry, I'm actually super sick. There hasn't been a lot of hills that I've died on in Pred. I definitely have harsh takes, and a lot of my takes are very subjective, being my opinion. But this one is not really one of them. Like, this is, again, this is one of those things that I think it's like, it's just simple math. Like, you can really look at it and see that one system, they provide, they require the same amount of work from the player. It's just one has restrictions in it and the other one doesn't. Like, so the system is just better. It's you don't really have to be convinced otherwise. I think you just have to kind of take a look at it. And so it's just one of those things where I'm trying to look at it and really understand why people are ignoring the feedback. And yeah, now here's the thing: do I expect them to change it? No, not necessarily. But I think being open to the feedback and being open to maybe the understanding of it is a little bit better than the double down that I saw from some of the developers. Because again, this is one of those things that it's really hard to argue with this, and the only arguments I saw weren't very good arguments. I wish I could present some of them. It was a lot through general chat with a couple of members of Ometa. RGSA in short was just like, oh, I disagree with you, which again, I think this is one of those things that you kind of can't disagree with. I mean, I guess you could disagree with anything, but you would be wrong to disagree with something, right? If it's right. Like if someone told me that the 2 + 2 = 4, and I said, oh, that's I hear you, but I disagree. It's like, well, you can't really disagree with that. Now, again, I'm talking about a universally known objective truth versus we're talking about in-game systems as an objective truth. So obviously it's not a one-to-one comparison. But this is, if you can enlighten yourself, this is one of those things that you can't really find good defenses for. Now, I do think that there is a potential opportunity that the bigger picture might open the door for a contract system to allow the devs to do something with the other content that you would unlock with the free-to-play currency. But I'm not sure if that's better or worse, because I don't know what that would be. So for example, in a free-to-play currency system, you could use that currency to unlock skins and other, small content like profile pictures or other cosmetic items. If you have a contract system that is only meant to engage with hero unlocks, the question now becomes, well, how do you unlock the other content? So that gives them the opportunity to do something unique or something different for other content unlocks, and that might be why it's the benefit for them to use the contract system. But because that system does not exist, and because I do not have anything to go off of, I have to assume that it's not to the benefit of the player. So I think the only way that you can sell me on the contract system is, I think there's 2 ways. No, there's 3 ways to do it. 1, you add a free-to-play currency on top of it. So that way the free-to-play currency is simultaneously working with the contract system. 2, you find a really, really good way to make all of the other content that will be unlockable and in the game unlockable. That doesn't engage with the free-to-play currency or with a contract system, and then that still doesn't solve the issues with the contract system. Or three, and this is probably about the only way to solve the contract system, is you make it to where you can transfer your progress of a contract, because then that removes the element of time loss. But that also only solves one of the issues with the contract system. I think like I said, the secondary issue with the contract system is that, like, let's say hypothetically, once you have everything in the game that is like a hero, or you have all the heroes that you want, there's essentially nothing for you to be able to earn. So the contract system is just very restrictive. It's very restrictive, and it's not quite as friendly to the player as a free-to-play currency system is, and that's why a free-to-play currency system is better. So friends, that's my discussion for today. I wanted this to kind of come off a little bit more measured and not so frustrated, because I think that that's my usual delivery, and it's clear that that delivery doesn't work. I like that delivery. I think it's that version of delivery is very akin to me as a person. Like, it just is who I am. But yeah, you know, this guy said the community doesn't like you because your personality is shit. Why don't you start your own game, champ? And I said, I have no aspirations to be a game dev and build my own game. I provide valuable feedback to games that I enjoy playing. Also, unless I missed the memo, I don't remember you being appointed the spokesperson for the community. You know, gotta throw the wit and the assholeness in. I'm abrasive with my delivery, and that's not everyone's cup of tea, but that has nothing to do with whether or not my feedback is valuable, or in this case, objectively accurate. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. And it's not like I'm the only person that thinks this. There's other people in the community that are agreeing with me. This system is objectively better than a contract system, and there's only a few ways to potentially make the contract system better or to solve it. And in any case, even with those changes, the free-to-play currency is still just superior. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Drop a like in the video and subscribe for future Predecessor content. As always, be sure to be kind of where I tell someone you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.